After weeks of waiting for the right weather window, Sea Warden has finally left the harbor of Les Sables-d'Olonne. The journey south has begun. Ahead lies the Bay of Biscay, a stretch of water every sailor approaches with respect. The plan is simple, but the timing is critical. Round Cape Finisterre in northern Spain before the next depression reaches the coast. And, if conditions allow, continue all the way to Porto in Portugal. For the crew, the rhythm of land is now behind them. For the next few days, there will be no coastline on the horizon, only wind, ocean, and the miles ahead. The first nights were rough. The Bay of Biscay quickly reminded the crew why sailors respect this stretch of ocean. Wind against the bow, waves rolling under the hulls, and long hours at the helm. But life on board slowly found its rhythm. Sea Warden offers the kind of comfort that makes long passages feel less like endurance and more like living at sea. The galley quickly became the center of that rhythm. The oven was in constant use, and with fresh ingredients on board, the crew made the most of it, preparing real meals, turning simple provisions into surprisingly good dishes in the middle of the ocean.
The only way to eat on a Privilege, the finest china with the finest food.
We are going to share the night, yes, between which people can, Marine, I, James, you if you are available. We can start at 9 or 10, 9 I believe.
And always one alone, right? One is...
Yes, one is enough because you are not at traffic, the condition are, we are not under sail, we are by engine and the condition will be not very hard, so one is enough. Of course nobody go out alone. If you have to go out for something, you wake up somebody to have always someone to look to you.
Quiet hours at the helm. Moments alone on deck, surrounded by nothing but water and sky, and sunsets that mark the end of another long day offshore. Yet sailing against the wind comes at a cost. For much of the passage, the engines had to run. Fuel became part of the equation. Sea Warden carries two main tanks, 400 liters each. For the crossing, James and Laurie added two additional reserve tanks. Using a portable pump, fuel could be transferred to the main tanks while the boat was still underway.
Pump some fuel out of these bags right into the tank. We burned about, I would say 60% of fuel, 50%. So we've been running pretty hard for almost 2 days now. So we're burning about 10 or 11 liters an hour because we're trying to hump our way across this Bay of Biscay. And right now it's more like Lake Michigan, but you never know when the bay's gonna bite you. So get across while you can, baby.
We crossed more than half of the Biscay in one day. Unfortunately by engine because no wind.
Okay.
And the little wind in the wind, so it was the sea was a little bit not very good, very bad during the breaking water in the middle of the Biscay. But now the sea is flat and the sun is here. After more than 2 months without sun, we discovered that it is here. And we target to arrive in Coruña tomorrow morning around 10 o'clock. The Finisterre, Cape Finisterre Monday morning, and we target to arrive in Porto on Tuesday night at 1 o'clock. On the next depression will arrive on Tuesday morning So you have to be, the depression arrived on the Capo Finisterre, so you have to be lower, and Porto is a protected stop. We are going to stop one day in Porto to let the depression go away, and after you start on again to Lanzarote.
3/4 across the Bay of Biscay, the ocean finally began to settle. The wind eased, the clouds opened, and then, for the first time in days, land appeared on the horizon, Spain. The courtesy flag was raised, and the crew took a moment to simply enjoy the calm that had finally arrived. The timing was on their side. If conditions held, Sea Warden would reach Porto before the next depression moved in. With the sea now gentle, it felt like the right moment to finally use one of the small luxuries on board. Just in time, Sea Warden reaches the entrance of Porto. The timing could hardly be better.
We just arrived in the city of Porto, with the second town of Portugal after Lisbon. We will enter in the river in a few minutes, and we will dock at Douro Marina, it's the marina of Porto.
As the Catamaran approaches the harbor, the sky begins to glow in the colors of a perfect sunset. After days at sea, the calm water of the marina feels almost surreal. A marinero waits on the dock, ready to catch the lines, welcoming the crew after their crossing of the Bay of Biscay. The first major leg of the journey is complete, and, as it often happens after a successful passage, the evening ends the best way sailors know how, gathered on deck with good food and the quiet satisfaction of having made it safely. What the crew didn't know at that moment was that Porto would hold them for 3 more days. A powerful low-pressure system was already building in the Atlantic, sending waves toward the coast that would soon make the harbor entrance impossible to leave. In the final episode of this journey, Sea Warden will eventually depart Porto after a beautiful stay in the city and begin the last leg toward Lanzarote. But the Atlantic isn't finished yet. On the final night of the passage, another storm will catch up with Sea Warden, bringing the highest waves of the entire voyage and winds pushing close to 45 knots.